Hey guys, welcome. You're at Thrifty Journal Shop. If you are new to my channel, hello. I'm so happy you stopped by today. For all of you awesome folks that keep coming back, I really appreciate you. All right, today I thought I would just turn the camera on and doodle, make some more fodder. I will link my playlist down below. I did have a request from a viewer about possibly doing a Fodder Friday, and she threw some ideas out there. I love that idea. I'm going to try to work that in somehow. Summertime, spring and summer, probably like for all of us, is a busier time for me, but I will try to make that happen in some way. So a couple videos ago, I did some flowers, which I want to do again because I've been working on the roses and I just love these. I'm calling them my lily pad flowers. I just love how these turned out. I used some gold, like my gold marker. So I want to do these again. And then I did make a bunch of roses. So I've been working on my fodder stash for all of you guys that want fodder packet. I'm going to try and have some out by May. I've got some Easter ones I'm working on. Just spent a week pet sitting, house sitting, and had a blast. And I was making fodder like a crazy woman. So that's awesome. So here's some of the roses I did. I just really loved how these turned out. And I think for some of this fodder, it's almost better if, it looks great when you cut it out, but for some of these with the little tiny increments or the, little tiny bits and bobs, it's just easier to draw it out and leave it on the paper. So I think I might incorporate that in some of these other fodder videos. Honestly, I am missing my trashy junk journal so much. I'm fiending to make another one because I want to play around and put my fodder. And I realized after the last couple that I made, it was almost like a daily journaling practice for me. I put a lot of my everyday kind of things in that journal. So anyways, here's some of the roses. I put a little bee here. So just we could add little bugs to the tops of them. I love how these turned out. I just played with a bunch of different colors. Once again, going back with the gold. So how pretty are those? So as you guys know, I like to play around with lots of different papers, encyclopedia pages, music paper, and then, all different kinds of white paper, mixed media, construction paper, plain old copy paper. So here is just a Crayola marker. And what I'm noticing is, I think it's because this is water-based. It is much better on these shiny print papers than the acrylic. So I found that out, which you guys probably already knew that, but sometimes I'm late to the game. So much better. And I think the key is just letting my acrylics dry. I have a tendency to want to rush things, or not rush things, but move along, and I end up, smearing stuff or gunking them. Or with these kind of pens, I try to go over too quickly before the paint is dry, and then I ruin my pens. So yeah, lesson learned. That's all the nature of the game. All right, so I thought I'd just show you some that I'm working on for future videos. I've got some snails that I want to do. So I think we'll do some snails, and then here's some dragonflies. Might do those in one video. And I've just been playing around with their little body here. Here's some rainbows, and you can just do all different kinds of funness. So there's some snails. I've been making some different bugs too, kind of playing off the ladybug, bumblebee concept. Really easy bugs that we can do, just playing around with different colors. So when I was at the farm this last week, pet sitting, they have chickens. And so they have little stickers for their chickens. But I saw that the sticker had these fat bees. I thought, oh my gosh, I love fat birds and fat cats. I made some fat bees. They're so fun. And I put some little flowers on them. You can make them all different shapes. These are super easy to do. And then I made a different style of bee. These were the ones I did in my last video. So really all I did was put a face and some cheeks on them. So you can do that also. But I thought we would do some fat bees, some butterflies that are really easy. And I think for the butterflies, I did cut them out, but for these, it'd be nice just to draw them on the page that you want to use them on. You can cut them out, do whatever, but with the little antenna thing, sometimes it's easier just to draw them. I've got this little butterfly guy with feet. I thought we would do that. And then the fat bees. Here's just another little bug. So many different ideas. So here's a little snail. And then there's a little dragonfly. So we'll do those in the next video, snails and dragonflies, and maybe we'll do a bug or something like that. But I'm working on these also. These are going to be more for Easter. I just did some eggs with a little bunny rabbit. Here's some little chicks coming out of the eggs. I thought those are really adorable. Here's some that I sketched out. And, you know, I love bears. So I've got a little bear coming out of the egg, another little chick, little rabbit. So I thought we'll do these in another video. All right, let's get started with some butterflies and some fat bees. I am going to use some of my regular Crayola markers too in this, and then I'm just going to use my normal acrylic paint pens and my Sharpies. You guys use whatever you want. I've got some white construction paper that I just got. I've got some copy paper. I'm not sure if I'm going to use dictionary pages today or if I'm just going to use plain white paper. But I thought we would do a couple fat bees first. And I've got a lot of my markers already packed in this bag because when you guys see this video, I'm going to be in Florida for a week. I'm taking my art journal that I shared with you guys. If you haven't seen that video of when I painted the book with the bear, and I did have a suggestion also to show how I painted that. So I will at some point do that too. Put some of my acrylic paint pens and just a little selection here, and I'm going to take this in my sketchbook. Yeah, and then when I get back from my trip, I've got everything set aside to start my next trash journal, and I'll be working on that with you guys because I'm just dying to play in my trash journal. All right, so let's just go ahead and make a fat bee, and I am just going to use a marker. I'm not even going to bother with a pencil. I always talk about shapes. Like, guys, everything is just shapes. Just play around. Drawing is just playing and practice over and over, not thinking too much, because when you think too much, if you have an intention for something to turn out a certain way, it doesn't always work. So I just sort of free flow it and go with it. And of course, my black markers are never really that great. All right. So he's kind of off to a weird start, but that's okay. And then for his wing is almost like a heart. It's just can be anything that you want there. And of course, this is always different creating and talking. So sometimes I get quiet because it is difficult for me to talk, have it make sense. Sometimes I go back when I edit and I just like, what was I trying to say? And then I just draw some lines here. And I laugh at myself a lot, guys. I always have throughout my whole life. I just find humor in myself. It just, why not, right? I don't take anything too seriously anymore, especially at this point in my life. That's something about being in your 40s that's just like really refreshing. Or maybe you've always been that way, but it is just refreshing. So that's it. Just draw a fat. Let's draw another one. I give space for his doohickey wing here. I said give space for his wing, and then I've got Florida on the brain today. I'm flying out today, and I think I'm ready to go. All right. Okay, we'll make him work, but let's do another one here. Maybe I'll try to do the wing first. All right. Or his. There we go. All right, and now I'm going to do his body, and he's going to be a very fat bee. Okay. All right. And we're just giving him stripes. Okay. I am just going to use my yellow Crayola marker here. The trick with the yellow is try not to blend it into the black, but it happens. So we're just giving them stripes. You know, and for these little guys, I did draw a little flower. I'm flying down to Cape Coral, and Jeff, my other half, is helping his friend who just bought a house do some tiling and all that kind of stuff. So I'm flying down there. I'm going to stay a week, and I've got a bike. They rented me an e-bike with a basket. So I'm going to be going to the thrift stores. And then his friend has a truck he's driving home, and also Jeff's dad is down there with a vehicle. So anything that I find thrifting, I'm on the hunt for some books. I've got some ideas. We'll go back with either one of them. So that's kind of cool. I don't have to worry about, you know, because I'm flying down there and everything. So there we go. And then what I did, I just added some little polka dots, and you can use different colors in there. You could put little hearts in there. I love adding polka dots to a lot of things. I think it just brings out, it pops it out, I guess is the words. We'll let this dry before we do the eyes and all of that. Maybe we're going to draw a flower on this one. So just simple flower. I just do little things like that. So in all actuality, it's probably easier to draw the flower in with the yellow. So we're just going to cover that up, thinking on the fly here. Also, this would be really cool if you have little stickers, flowers. You could just put a sticker on here. That would be really cool. I can look and see if I have some, or little hearts. I might have some little hearts. I'll look and see. All right. These Poscas, I got to do something. They're driving me nuts. They either bleed or they're drying out. I'll let all those dry. You guys get the concept. I'm just going to leave this one how it is. I'm not going to fill this one in. I'm going to let these dry, and then I'll come back and we'll put the details on them. But let's go on and let's make some butterflies. We're going to make these 3 butterflies. And this is fun, guys. You can do whatever you want, any kind of designs in here, okay? And there are so many different styles of butterflies out there. All right, I am just gonna draw here with a colored pencil. I'm not gonna use an eraser today. I am doing everything on the fly. All right, for the butterfly, it's just more shapes. The wonkier, the better. All right, and then I just draw a little body here, just an oval, and then his little head, or her little head. And then the little antennas, we'll decorate that as we go. You guys probably can't really even see that, okay? But I'll fill it in. So it's almost like another heart shaped. And like I said, there's so many different shapes, images out there for butterflies. This is just super simple. Then for this guy, I give him a round head, his little body, and then I just triangles. Okay. And then his little feet. And then I'm going to fill in his body when we go to color him in. And then this one, the side butterfly, I just do his body, an oval, the circle for his head and wing. Okay? Shapes and free. This is free flowing drawing for me. It's really helped me. I've really been the last couple weeks just drawing with either like a Sharpie. I've been working in my sketchbook with my faces, and I'll share some of that when I get back from my trip. It's really been an awesome practice to just use a Sharpie and go with whatever you create. You know, if you're new to drawing, it's just practice, like I always say. And if you feel more comfortable using a pencil with an eraser, but I encourage you to just free draw. Sometimes if you're using a pencil with an eraser, I notice that I get really stiff. So if I'm in the frame to where I'm just going to kind of go with it and deal with whatever shape I have, it usually works out. Okay. And everything is not going to be like the best piece of art. This is why we practice and play and wonky. And I just encourage you to just go for it. Let's fill these guys in, and then we'll go back to the bees. And you know, you can do realistic butterflies if you want. Maybe we'll make this somewhat of a monarch. They're a little bit orange. At some point, I want to get out my paints, my acrylic paints, and play around with those also, and my brushes and things. So I have plans for that at some point also. And maybe use my little dabber tools and blot how I did with my art journal that I made. I love that look. And then you can add different colors in the wings. Like right now I could make this really pretty with adding different colors. Just thinking out loud here. Well, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope some of you maybe have plans to travel for spring break, or go somewhere warm, or stay home and just have time to yourself to create and relax and do the things that make you happy. I hope you do things that make you happy every day, but I hope you have some extra special time for that. All right, I'm gonna just do his body in this purple. And sometimes I'll go back through and outline it in black just to make everything stand out a bit. All right, I might put a little doohickeys inside his wings here, little shapes. We'll use the blue. A little bit of a darker butterfly. We'll let that dry, and then I'm going to go back and do the face. Let's see, how about we do green for this guy? We'll move on to down here. Oh, let's see. I love these bright, these are permanent markers. Also, this is kind of a test for me to see. I haven't used some of these markers in a very long time. Some of them might have dried up. This one is hanging in there. Okay, I like that. Let's see. Let's do a lighter color. I love this blue. All right, now let's decorate these a little bit. I know I want to put some white in here. Getting out my packed up Poscas. Gonna repack them in a minute here. Let's see if the pink Posca will show up here. It will inside this. So let's add a little pink here. We'll add a little pink in the body and not do the stripes on this one. And we're just giving them little antennas. Make them a little thicker if I'm gonna cut them out. Outline it in black. This little guy, let's see. Now we're taking the acrylic over the water-based. We'll see how that works out here. I just drew some circles for his eyes. Okay. A little mouth. I love cheeks, pink cheeks. And then for his little antennas, his little legs, outline his body and his head. Okay. And then I can go back through and add some polka dots. We'll let that little dry a little bit. Let's go down to here. I'm just going to keep this one pretty simple. I think I'm going to outline this in purple and just do some polka dots. Outline this in purple. Little antennas. I didn't give him eyes. I'm not going to this time. This little guy, I did for him. I just put a couple white dots in there for the eyes. I could go back around, and I probably will go back and outline that in black. Let's add a few polka dots in here just to make things pop a little bit. I love all the polka dots. All right, let's go back to the bees real quick and add the faces here. But I do really like these little flowers here. And then I can always color those a different color if I want to. All right, for his face, I used a pen just to fine tune it. And I gave him a little doohickey eyelash there. You can see that. And then just a little smile. And then I did give him cheeks. Okay. And I'll go back through and shade these all in and fill it in a little bit better. Might play around with different markers and fill it in. And then for this little guy, same thing. Just going to give him, he's got a little bit bigger of a face. Little doohickey, little doodles. There's a big smile. Little cheeks. Same thing. I'll go back in and fill in everything and nicely outline it. Maybe next time we meet, I will have some better black markers here. Let's try something. Color this flower a little bit. That's pretty. This one a little bit, a little darker of a flower. All right. Some fat bees, guys. That's how they look when you cut them out. And you can very well shade this in a little bit more around their antenna or just leave it like that. I like the white outline. This one's going this way and he's a little bit smaller. So just lots of ideas. There's the ones we did today on the fly. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this gave you some inspiration. As always, please leave me a comment down below. I hope you find some time to find some sunshine, whether you're going to be traveling or at your own place. And I hope you find some creative time for yourself. As always, guys, stay creative and thank you so much for being here. I'll see you soon.